Welcome to the Two-Man Advantage. I'm Nick Deziel, flying solo this week. Darren DiCarlo is unavailable, and so is Kyle Simpkins. I just got back from vacation from beautiful British Columbia, where I went out to see my brothers and family, and now we're back to business. Darren and Kyle will join us early next week or later this week so we can have a whole new Two-Man Advantage for you. But for now, I'm going to go over the MLB All-Star Game, the Final Vote, also NFL Training Camp coming up, and of course, Classic Rant. So let's start with the American and National League Final Vote. Let's look over the National League. You got Justin Morneau for the Colorado Rockies that has a .315 average, 13 home runs, 59 RBIs, no stolen bases, and 317 at-bats. Colorado, not doing so well. Justin Morneau, obviously a long Minnesota Twin. All you fans of the AL Central and Detroit Tigers know about that. I'm not sure if he's going to really get the vote. I think he's having a better year. I think he's definitely coming around. He had some injury trouble in the last couple of years in Minnesota. He has put himself on the map. He's definitely come around. Go down to Atlanta and Justin Upton. He's having a great year. Atlanta is also playing well. He's batting .275 with 17 home runs, 50 RBIs, and 7 stolen bases. Again, I'm not sure if that's going to do it. You know, you have Anthony Rizzo from the Cubs. He's batting .272 with 18 home runs and 47 RBIs, 2 stolen bags. You have Casey McGee from Miami. He's batting .322 with 1 home run and 53 RBIs with 1 stolen base. And you also have Anthony Rendon for the Washington Nationals. He's batting .284 with 13 home runs and 52 RBIs with 8 stolen bags. Now, it's a decent group of players here. If you really step back and take a look at it, I think Casey McGee has a really good shot to get in. He's got the average. He doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the stolen bags. The on-base percentage is not very good, but he has also had a lot of at-bats. Justin Morneau, also, he has had a bounce-back year. He might be the front-runner now that we all step back and take a look at the stats, which is very surprising. The Colorado Rockies not having a great year, but obviously Justin Morneau is coming around. If I had to pick, I think it would be between McGee, Morneau, and Upton. I just think the stats are better in Morneau's favor. Also, Casey McGee is having a good year, but Justin Upton might be the fan favorite in this scenario. Let's move over to the American League. We also have Corey Kluber. He's a pitcher for the Cleveland Indians. He's got 8 wins and 6 losses, .286 ERA, and 125 innings with 137 Ks. So that's more than 1 K per inning, which is very, very good. Cleveland's having a decent year. They're right around 500, hanging around in the Central, since the Tigers don't feel like taking off with it. They have a great manager in Terry Francona, and he's got those guys playing well. Garrett Richards from the Los Angeles Angels. He's got 10 wins, 2 losses, a .271 ERA, 116 innings pitched with 119 Ks. If you really look at that there, you got more. You got a strikeout and inning guy. He's got 10 wins. He's already in double-digit wins. He's only got 2 losses. The Angels have really been rolling recently. I think they've won 5 in a row. They just won on a walk-off yesterday. I think he's in serious consideration. You also have another pitcher with Chris Sale. That might be the problem, too. You got 4 pitchers on this list for the American League. 5 pitchers in the American League. It's really going to be tough. You look at Chris Sale with the Chicago White Sox. He's having a great year. He's 8-1 with a .216 ERA, 87 innings pitched. The innings pitched is low, the lowest on the list for the American League Final Vote. But his whip is fantastic. And his Ks per 9 is great. He's got 87 innings pitched with 96 Ks. So that's great, especially with the White Sox not doing so well in the Central Division. You also have Ricky Porcello for all you Tigers fans out there. He's 11-5 with a .353 ERA, 112 innings pitched with 64 Ks. So the Ks aren't there. He's more of a ground ball pitcher. The whip is in control this year. I think he plays on a good offensive team. I think he had a good little stretch. He went 25 innings with scoreless ball. He had back-to-back complete game shutouts. Is this the norm for Rick Porcello? Is this what you just think you might see the rest of the year? Do you think he has a shot to get close to 20 wins? Or is this a Jeremy Bonderman-esque first half? He will not make the All-Star game. I think maybe it's just an honor that he is on the final vote. You also have Dallas Keuchel from Houston. He's 8-5 with a 3.06 ERA, 108 innings pitched with 84 Ks. Again, very much like Porcello, the Ks are not there per 9 like they are with Kluber, Richards, and Sale. If you really step back and take a look at all these pitchers in the American League, they're all having great years. But at the end of the day, if it was my vote, I would probably go with either Richards, Kluber, or Sale. I just don't think that Porcello and Keuchel have the strikeouts per 9. In Keuchel's favor, he is 8-5 playing for Houston, but I just don't think it's going to be good enough. So how this works is that there's 5 guys from each. There's American League and a National. They pick 2 guys from each side, and they have a final vote through the fans. Chris Sale is going to have a good backing in Chicago. I think Kluber is going to have a good backing in Cleveland. I don't know about Richards in LA, but I think that Richards, Sale, and Kluber have a pretty good shot. Stick with me. I'll be right back. We're going to talk a little bit more baseball, and then we're going to transition to the NFL training camp. Do you like the Two-Man Advantage podcast? Like, share, and comment on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter as we pull our hair every week about sports topics that you enjoy. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more Two-Man Advantage. There's always something more. Welcome back to the Two-Man Advantage. Milwaukee Brewers baseball. They're the best team in the National League at 52-30. They're in the best division in the National League, maybe in all of baseball, with everybody above 500 besides the Cubbies, the poor Cubbies. Their pitching, you'd think it would be better than it is, but I took a look at it just because they don't really have a lot of sluggers in their team. They got Aramis Ramirez. They obviously have Ryan Braun, but I think a lot of it stems from their great closing pitching from Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod, which had a lot of good years in LA. He seems to have found a new rhythm in Milwaukee. He's got 27 saves. Can he continue to keep that up? I think he's got a great arm. He's always had a great bender. I don't know if he is really going to be. He's also always been streaky and also had struggles, ups and downs in his career. I don't know if I really put all the chips on the table to say that he sustains this great role, because he's at 27 saves. That's a lot for being at halfway. If you think about it, he's going to finish right around 50. You go to the starting pitching with Kyle Lohse. He's 9-3. Remember him pitching for Minnesota and Seattle. Great arm. I think if anything, this is the best arm in that starting rotation. You got Matt Garza, has kind of bounced around from the American League to the National League the last couple of years. He's 6-5, but he's also been inconsistent. Great arm, always had a great arm, but it's always been finding that consistency. So I think he's a good back end of the rotation guy. Definitely a great back end of the rotation guy with that arm. But can he sustain it, and can he stay healthy? You also go to Willie Peralta. Willie Peralta is obviously a pleasant surprise to a lot of people this year, especially Milwaukee Brewers fans. He's 9-5. He's having the best year of his career. If you really look at this, last year he went 11-15. So he's just about totaled as many wins this year as he had all of last year. Is the consistency there with him? Is he going to be able to sustain this for the stretch drive and into the playoffs? Also, Zach Duke. Zach Duke used to pitch for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was a rookie then. He had a great arm. Then he had some injury trouble, been up and down different leagues and up and down into the minors and majors. He's 5-0. I don't know if he's going to be able to sustain that. He hasn't been in the major leagues. I think this is his third team in 2 years. He just seems to be finding a home in Milwaukee now. If you really are a betting man, I wouldn't be betting on the Milwaukee Brewers to go far into the playoffs, even though they're doing a great job right now in the National League, because that pitching is just, too inconsistent, if you ask me. But it's a great story, and we talk a lot of American League Baseball on the two-man advantage, so I thought we'd hit a little bit on the National League. Also, we wanted to talk about the Oakland Athletics making a big trade. If you look at the American League, Justin Verlander has said that the Oakland Athletics made that trade to beat the Detroit Tigers in the playoffs. Obviously, the last 2 years, the Tigers have beat the A's in the playoffs, both times in 5 games, and both times Justin Verlander had a great outing. You have Hamill and you have Samardzija. Hamill has not pitched for the A's yet. Hamill's a good young arm. Samardzija was 2-7 with the Cubs. He's always had a great arm. He seems to be finding his stride this year. This is his best statistical year with the strikeouts and everything. But he won his first outing. He won 7 innings with 1 run allowed, and he is now 2-7. Poor guy was, just stuck in Chicago, and as I said with the Milwaukee Brewers, they are the only team that is not above 500 in that division. Also, Hamill was having a great year with the Cubs, surprisingly so. So I think those 2 guys and the A's rotation, which already has Sonny Gray and Scott Kazmir, just got really good. I think they are the team to beat in the American League. Once the trade deadline comes, I think this pushes the teams like the Orioles and the Tigers and the Angels hand to make a trade to put a big arm in their bullpen and our starting rotation. Because if they're going to compete with that, I think the trade was made for the Detroit Tigers. If you really look at it, the last 2 years were heartbreakers for them, and they're really going after it this year. So Billy Beane, giving him some props over in Oakland. Speaking of Justin Verlander, I want to hit on him. That is my second half player. If we're going to really zero in on somebody, I know everybody's going, Justin Verlander. You guys talk a lot about Justin Verlander. But this is really abnormal for him. Justin Verlander is having the worst statistical year of his career since 2008. Actually, it's worse than that. 2008, he went 11-17 with a 4.84 ERA. Verlander, he's 7-7. His ERA is over 4. His strikeouts are down. He's only got 89. This is very concerning for the Detroit Tigers. He has just said that the A's made the trade to beat the Tigers. If Verlander doesn't pitch better, then there's issues with the Tigers and they had to go add an arm. But he said they made the trade for the playoffs. Justin Verlander, if you take out his rookie season when they went to the World Series in 2006, he did not pitch very well in the playoffs. Also, 2011, his best statistical year in the regular season was not a very good playoff year. Hold on to your hats, though, Tigers fans, because the last 2 seasons, Justin Verlander has had the best postseason statistical numbers that he's had his whole entire career, even though last year he did not have a good regular season. He rolled through the A's the last 2 years, and his only losses were in the World Series. Justin Verlander, you wrap him up because this is a guy that everybody should pay attention to in the American League, because if Justin Verlander goes, so do the Tigers. Stick with me. I'll be right back, and we're going to talk some NFL training camp, what to look forward to, and, of course, the Detroit Lions. Check out the Two-Man Advantage podcast at facebook.com/2MA Sports. Also check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/2MA Sports. Check us out on our webpage at www.2MApodcast.com. And also, check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/2MA Sports. We'd love to hear from you. Comment, share, and like. Follow us on Twitter, and let us know what you think or what we talk about every week. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more Two-Man Advantage. Welcome back to the Two-Man Advantage podcast. Well, we're going to get to some NFL training camp. Yeah, that's right. Who's excited? It's 2 weeks away. Training camp opens on July 22nd. There's multiple teams heading into camp. And football is just about back. Preseason starts in August. The Detroit Lions will be getting back to work with Jim Caldwell and his staff very shortly. I want to hit on some Detroit Lions today. And I want to go over a couple things we talked about a few weeks back when we had a chance to go to OTAs and had a chance to check out the team. We also will be going to training camp. We'll be talking to Tim Tweedyman, the Detroit Lions senior writer, and we also might have a chance to talk to a couple players. We're going to go over what we think will give the Lions some success in the upcoming year. Sue is back in OTAs, so assuming he will be back in training camp, hopefully with new contract. He is still the physical force that everybody expected him to be. They get him signed, they save some money, and they're able to add a couple pieces because obviously that back end is kind of weak with just Rasheed Mathis and Darius Slay there. Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, is hoping that they are aggressive and smart. I think they're going to be needed to be aggressive, especially at that corner position. Maybe jam at the line, give the defensive line and the linebackers some opportunity to get to the quarterback. They added Darryl Tapp, which is the defensive end. He played with Seattle. He also played with the Washington Redskins. He said he's getting back to his roots with the Detroit Lions, so hopefully they added some depth there. Also, Joique Bell said he is going to be ready for training camp. He is 100% ready to rock and roll. So that's good news. So you also have Reggie Bush that's healthy. You have Mikel LaShore said he's going to be getting more touches with the Detroit Lions this year with more of a 2-3 back set now with the new coaching staff. And you have Joique Bell, which is going to be completely healthy. And there is also some things said about Ryan Broyles being healthy. He's finally getting back to form with this Achilles injury. So if you add him in the mix, they really had high expectations of him coming out of the NFL draft. I think he led the collegiate athletics with receptions and yards, but he had knee injury and then, of course, had another knee injury and, of course, now hurt his Achilles tendon. So hopefully he gets rid of that injury bug and he can be a part of the Detroit Lions offense this year. I think he will be a part of it. Watching him in the OTAs, he looked very, very good. Also, Jeremy Ross, the return man last year that they got from the Green Bay Packers, looked very, very involved in the Detroit Lions offense. I think they're going to try to get him the ball in different ways, especially with that explosive speed. And I think he will be alone back there receiving punts and kicks. They talked about maybe Reggie Bush getting involved more this year, or maybe Golden Tate getting involved more this year. It is Jeremy Ross's job to lose, especially since how good of a year he had last year. Dan Orlovsky talked about how Theo Riddick, the Notre Dame running back the Lions drafted a couple of years ago, is going to be their Darren Sproles. Of course, Joe Lombardi, quarterbacks coach, come from New Orleans, worked with Drew Brees in that offense. He's now the offensive coordinator for the Lions, and they said they're going to use the running backs in different ways. So there's a couple things to be very, very excited about for the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford among favorites with NFL MVPs. They're talking about that. He had 4,600 yards last year. He had 29 touchdowns, kind of a down year with him. Now that they give him all these weapons, how good can Matthew Stafford be? So it's really exciting times for the Detroit Lions. And honestly, just NFL fans all around Canada and the United States, because the Detroit Lions are a good story. We've all seen this unfold like it has before. But first time they have a coaching staff that has rings on their hand, that knows how to demand respect. And they have the first time in a long time, since maybe the early 90s, best team on paper. So we shall see how that works out. If you want to stick with me, we'll be right back, and we're going to go over a rant. Welcome back to the Two-Man Advantage Podcast. It's time for our 2MA Rants, and I got a good one for you today. Let's go to the World Cup, and those who listen to the 2MA podcast know how much that I love soccer. Here in North America, soccer is probably low on the totem pole, behind, of course, hockey, football, baseball, basketball, and the list goes on. Today, host team Brazil got absolutely tattooed 7-1. Germany really took it to them. I love the passion. Don't get me wrong. I love the passion of the soccer fan, or football fan, if you might. They're crying in Brazil today. I mean, bawling. There was kids bawling and fans crying and carrying on because they lost. Listen, we live in Canada here on the 2MA podcast. We love our hockey. You know, if the Canadian Olympic team or Canadian World Junior team lost in the semifinals, I don't know how many tears there would be. I know this is only once every 4 years, but so is the Olympics. And the other thing with soccer, I know all you soccer enthusiasts are not going to really appreciate this, but you have guys flip-flopping around on the ground like they just got shot, and then they're back in on the next play. You have the first game of the World Cup with a guy getting a phantom card leading to a penalty kick, which basically seals the deal. I don't understand. There's guys biting each other. And I think a couple years back, there was a goal scored in a soccer event and a man bit another man's penis. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but maybe we'll put the link up on our Facebook page. So, at the end of the day, I know there was a good response in North America for the United States, but now that they're gone, things like flopping around, biting other guys, and taking 90 minutes to score. I guess today was an exception with the 7-1 victory. When you're trying to draw fans in North America, that's not the way to do it. In hockey, when a guy breaks his leg, blocks another shot, gets back to the bench, and there's guys in soccer that have nothing wrong with them, maybe a scratch, and they're flip-flopping around like they broke their leg. It's hard for North American outlook to really respect that. It's really ruining the game, and I think soccer does have a pure beauty to it, but FIFA really needs to clean it up. Here endeth the rant. We would like to thank Rocket Ships, Life Astray, Bleach, Motor City Headrush for all our music today on the Two-Man Advantage. Thanks for tuning in, and tune in early next week for another 2MA podcast. Until then, keep your stick on the ice.